Hey y'all, today we're making homemade ice cream with magic shell. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is get our ice cream made. So we're doing vanilla ice cream and we're going to make these in like popsicle molds so we can dip them in the magic shell. So you're going to want to do the ice cream the day before that you want to make these so they'll have time to freeze in the freezer. So you're going to start out with 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. This is going to make them extra creamy and delicious. And the consistency of these is fantastic. So even if you wanted to make this and just put it in a big tub, you can just use this for just regular old vanilla ice cream if you want to do that. So 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, and then you're going to add 1 cup of milk. I'm using 2% milk. Some people say that, oh, if you do this, you have to use whole milk. No, you don't. Okay, you do not. I'm using 2% milk, but if you want to use whole milk, you certainly can. And then we're going to add in 3/4 of a cup of sweetened condensed milk. Okay, this is what is going to make it nice and sweet and also extra creamy as well, just like the heavy whipping cream. The heavy whipping cream combined with the condensed milk, fabulous, fabulous. So you're just going to need 3/4 of a cup of this. So you're not going to use this whole can unless you wanted to just make a way bigger batch. I'm making 10 of these popsicles, so that is how much this recipe is going to make. All right, so what did we add? 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, 1 cup of milk, and 3/4 of a cup of sweetened condensed milk. Then we're just going to add a couple of teaspoons of vanilla extract. You can add more if you want to. It would be even extra vanilla-y and delicious. And we're also going to add in just a little pinch of salt, just to cut the sweetness just a touch. But you're going to want to whisk this together really, really well. And I thought ahead a little bit this time, and I thought I'll get my bowl that has a pour spout on it. And then I still didn't use it that way right at first. So, here we are. But you're going to want to make sure that you whisk this together really, really well to make sure that all that condensed milk, because it's so thick, you want to make sure that it mixes in really well with your milk and your heavy cream. Just to make sure you don't have clumps of stuff in there. You want it nice and smooth. But you don't need to do this in a blender or anything. A whisk will absolutely do the job. Just get it really good and mixed up. All right, so these are the molds that I'm using, and they're super easy to use. You can get molds wherever you want to get molds. If you want to do these, I've said this in other popsicle videos, if you want to do these in, little Dixie cups, the little paper cups, you can do that. Whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be anything special, but I have this mold, so I'm using it. So you're just going to fill up your mold the best way that you can. And you can see I didn't pour from the bowl to keep from spilling, and I still spilled. So, here we are, whatever. So I just kept pouring until I got everything into my molds. Then this one comes with a little lid. If you're using little cups or some other kind of contraption that doesn't have a lid on it, you can just put aluminum foil over the top of it and then stick your popsicle sticks through the aluminum foil. So there's lots of ways to do this. You don't have to be fancy. So you're just going to poke your sticks in there. And one thing I will say is I poke my sticks in a little bit further than maybe some people would like. But I have found out, I tried leaving them a little bit longer. But the problem I have with that is that they don't fit into the little baggies I try to put them into. So just make sure that the length of your stick and your popsicle is going to fit into whatever storage containers. I use little Ziploc bags. I'm just putting that out there just to make sure they fit. So then I put those in the freezer overnight. So when I'm ready to make this, I am going to add in here, I'm using milk chocolate because that's what I prefer, but you can use whatever chocolate you like. If you like a semi-sweet or if you like dark chocolate, any of that will work. Just whatever chocolate chips. You could also do sugar-free chocolate chips if you wanted to. But you're going to need 1.5 cups of whatever chocolate chips you're using. And then to that, we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of coconut oil. Make sure that your coconut oil is refined. If it's not refined, or if it's virgin coconut oil, it's going to taste like coconuts. So if you don't mind that it's going to taste coconutty, then you can use whatever kind of coconut oil you want. But in the beginning of my cooking journey with coconut oil, I didn't realize, like I tried to get, the virgin must be the best, or the unrefined must be, you know what I mean? Like that sounds like it's the best kind, but that's the kind that tastes just like coconut. And not everything we cook with coconut oil do we want to taste like coconuts. So get the kind that is refined, okay? And you can Google like whatever brand you have in your store. If it doesn't actually say refined on it, then you can just Google it and it'll tell you whether, it is or not. So just wanted to put that out there for anybody who might be a little confused and wondering, well, if you use coconut oil, isn't going to taste like coconut? No, because you have to use a certain kind of coconut oil. Okay, that's the lesson of the day. Moving on from that, 1/3 cup of the coconut oil. I am going to microwave this for 30-second increments until it's melted. So that's going in the microwave for 30 seconds. This is what it looks like after 30 seconds. Mix it up real good. And you do want to mix this every 30 seconds because the stuff on the bottom of your container is going to be melting a little bit quicker a lot of times. So make sure every 30 seconds you stir it. So this is after the second 30 seconds. And a lot of times this is all it takes for me, and mine will be completely melted because as you stir, even though it looks like you have a lot of clumps of chocolate chips, they will melt from the heat of what is already melted. I hope that makes sense. But just stir it really good that second time you pull it out because it may be completely done already. Mine wasn't quite done still, so I did pop it back in for another 15 seconds. So I did 2 rounds of 30 seconds and then another 15 seconds, but that's my microwave. Yours might be a little bit different. And if you don't have a microwave or you don't like to use a microwave, you absolutely can do this over a double boiler. Whatever way that you melt your chocolate will be perfectly fine. It does not matter as long as it gets melted. So this is after that last 15 seconds. See, we still got some chunks, but as I stir it, it gets completely smooth. They were melted. They just looked like they were chunky. So this is where you want your chocolate nice and smooth. It's going to be pretty loose, pretty liquidy. That's fine. It's supposed to be that way. So then what you're going to do, you want to put this into a sort of a taller container because we're going to have to dip the ice cream down into it. And you want to make sure that you have enough height in your container. You know what I mean? That your chocolate is tall enough that when you dip it, it actually covers what you're dipping into it. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. I know some of y'all hate when I say, does that make sense? But I'm just trying to make sure, because sometimes I know I confuse my own self. But I was going to do this in like a drinking glass, but I wasn't sure that the mouth of the glass was wide enough. So just make sure that it's a little bit of a taller container and make sure that the mouth is wide enough to fit whatever you're going to dip into it. So this is just a 16-ounce jar that I'm using. And it's still a little bit, it was a little bit fat for what I'm doing because I do have to tilt it to dip it. Okay, anyway, you'll see in a minute. But once you get that poured into your container, you're going to let it sit for at least 10 minutes or so because we want it to cool down just a little bit. If it's super hot straight out of the microwave or your double boiler, it's just going to melt your ice cream. So make sure that you let it sit and cool down, 10 or 15 minutes. And, and that way it'll be good to go. And then this obviously is our ice cream. I'm going to run my mold under some kind of lukewarm water, and then it will help you to release the popsicles from the mold. And over to the side, I put parchment paper on that really cold cookie sheet that had been in my freezer. And that way, as we dip these, I can lay them down on a really cold surface. If you don't have that, or if you don't want to do that, then just keep your cookie sheet in your freezer. And as you dip these, just place each one into the freezer. Okay, and that way they can go ahead and just cool back down from the chocolate, but they're going to set up really quick. So when you dip them, and you can see how when I got all the way to the bottom, I had some area left, so I just kind of turned it and made sure I coated the sides. I didn't get the bottom coated, but it didn't matter to me. So you're going to want to let the chocolate run off, as much as you can. But you can see how super shiny it is right now. But you're going to see just in the few seconds, I'm not cutting any of this out, that it is going to start to harden almost immediately. So you see where it's starting to turn sort of a matte color? It's already setting up. It's crazy how this works, but that's what it is. I just hold it for just a second till it's not wet. And then I just lay it over to the side, and that's all you have to do. They're super, super easy. And if you have extra magic shell left over, which you won't if you just make this amount, but if you do have any left over, you can store it in your jar, airtight, on the counter in the pantry for about a month. So these are the bags I'm just showing y'all. Somebody asked in my last video what I store these in. Little cheap snack bags. That's all it is. But y'all, these are super, super easy to make. They are so good, and I hope y'all make them. All right, that is all that I have for y'all today, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.